action. Mr. Speaker, I wish to express my sincere appreciation to this Honourable House for their time, effort, and of course wisdom devoted to the successful debate of the 12th National Development Plan NDP 12, presented under the theme Building a Diversified and Inclusive Deep Economy for Sustainable Jobs. Following the comprehensive debates on Part 1, the General and Sectorial Chapters, Part 2, the Public Investment Program, and Part 3, the measurable indicators for both parts, I now wish to address some of the key issues and concerns raised during these deliberations, Mr. Speaker, and thereafter move that this Honourable House adopts the 12th National Development Plan, NDP 12, for implementation during the 5-year period from 2025-2026 to 2029-2030. Let me commence with the macroeconomic context, Mr. Speaker. Honourable members must acknowledge that both the global and domestic macroeconomic environments remain challenging. But of course, we continue to we do continue to experience sluggish GDP growth, high unemployment, and persistent poverty and inequality. Our fiscal landscape has also been constrained, with budget deficits projected to persist during the first half of the plan period. Now, given these realities, Mr. Speaker, it is imperative that we exercise prudence while striving to fulfill our national aspirations. The government's limited fiscal and human resources demands collaborative, innovative, and certainly transformative approaches involving all stakeholders. Accordingly, NDP 12 emphasizes the pivotal role of the private sector and the pursuit of an export-led economy as the pathway to sustainable value creation. As we move on to the role of private sector versus government, Mr. Speaker, the role of government during NDP 12 cannot be underscored. Difficult times require bold choices, and the challenges that we face today require an economic transformation of a depth, scale, and speed never before seen. Let me further reiterate the government's commitment towards its aspirations of national democratic society that will uplift the quality of life of citizens, especially the poor and vulnerable majority during the NDP 12. Mr. Speaker, there is convergence between national democratic society and having a private-led economy. The new focus is on having a bold and well-structured government capable of unleashing the full power of markets and the private sector to solve current challenges and take advantage of existing opportunities. To help and direct growth so that it is inclusive and sustainable, the government through NDP 12 will set priorities that have societal legitimacy. The government will also act as an investor of first resort and use all tools available to it to crowd in solutions from various sectors and actors, including a combination of insourcing and outsourcing of services. Hence, Mr. Speaker, commitment to this government during NDP 12, commitment by this government, I beg your pardon, Mr. Speaker, during this NDP 12 is to open up the public sector for the benefit of the economy, to take a path of prioritizing private sector-led economic growth. Government's role will not be passive, but rather proactive, as its functions are crucial for the private sector to flourish responsibly. When I turn my focus towards addressing economic inequality amidst a private sector growth strategy, Mr. Speaker, concerns have of course been raised about the risk of rising inequality under a private sector-led economy. We must therefore recognize that inequality in Botswana stems primarily from limited employment opportunities. The private sector, by its nature, is better positioned to drive job creation and stimulate inclusive growth. Now, given our constrained fiscal space, it is neither sustainable nor desirable for government to act on their own. Sole reliance on public expenditure would require higher taxes and levies, which would harm our competitiveness. To ensure that this new approach yields tangible results, NDP 12 strengthens its implementation commitment, establishing a robust delivery framework and rigorous monitoring and evaluation mechanisms to hold all actors accountable for results. Switching our focus to the true north, Mr. Speaker, as alluded to in my previous presentations, NDP 12 is anchored around the Botswana Economic Transformation Plan, also known as BTEP. Hence, each sector under NDP 12 is guided by a true north, a long-term aspiration that defines priorities and resource allocation. Collectively, these are anchored on the National True North, which envisions a high-income Botswana that is digitally enabled, export-driven, and economically diversified, where every citizen is employed, empowered, and fulfilled. When we move on to sector highlights, Mr. Speaker, allow me to highlight some of the key interventions based on issues raised from each of the 8 prioritized sectors under NDP 12. Now, commencing with mining and energy sectors. Let me firmly state, Mr. Speaker, that Botswana unequivocally remains committed to diversifying and adding value within the mining and energy sectors. Now, the priorities will include developing a robust mineral pipeline and beneficiation hubs, expanding citizen participation in clean energy from 10 to 30%, and increasing energy generation capacity to 4.8 gigawatt, and achieving universal electrification by 2030. When we move on to agriculture, Wena Beula, honourable members have raised key concerns regarding land, agriculture support, and implementation delays. Under NDP 12, government will 1. Tailor agricultural programs to type and scale of farmers. 2. Deploy extension officers to farming clusters. 3. Service land before allocation to optimize investment. And lastly, review policies to protect farmland from competing uses such as mining. Mr. Speaker, in manufacturing, resource beneficiation. Botswana has a lot of natural resources, as we know, that can be used to produce raw materials, equating into employment creation. For example, Bosengaparileana, Murula, and Moana, to mention but just a few. The government's strategic document, our manifesto, speaks unequivocally about beneficiation. I agree with honourable members that we must harness and, of course, transform our abundant raw materials right here at home. When we move on to revitalization of SOEs, Mr. Speaker, state-owned enterprises must be strategic participants in this manufacturing revolution, not merely as regulators, but as active producers who can generate revenue streams for critical national projects. We should be developing robust companies within Botswana's borders and exporting these enterprises as models of excellence across this continent. Laha Honourable Mulutsi Lepata, tourism. I didn't hear any chuckles and jeering when I mentioned Honourable Mulutsi. Concerns have been raised regarding the liberalization of the tourism sector, particularly in entertainment and capital flows. The government will review and harmonize relevant laws to ensure clear and very coherent policies. The tourism sector will further be diversified to expand opportunities beyond wildlife-based attractions. Key measures, Mr. Speaker, include strengthening human-wildlife conflict mitigation and reviewing compensation frameworks, which is a huge issue at the moment now, promoting community participation in tourism and expanding into agro-tourism, cultural tourism, and dam-based leisure activities to ensure visitor length of stay. Sports and creative industries. Mr. Speaker, this sector will play a key role in youth empowerment, Mem Machombo, and of course, job creation. Government will expand and modernize sports and arts facilities, revitalize school sports and create programs, promote entrepreneurship within creative industries, and address social ills such as drug abuse to build a vibrant private sector. Haratsanamo infrastructure sector. Mr. Speaker, infrastructure remains the backbone of development, and the key interventions include prioritization of refurbishment and/or upgrading of dilapidated infrastructure, upgrading roads, rail, aviation, and boost connectivity, expanding water and wastewater infrastructure for agriculture and households, rolling out solar energy projects countrywide, and reforming transport sector policies and introducing strategic toll gates to sustain infrastructure maintenance. With regard to the financial services, honourable members, several important points regarding financial services, digitalization, and regulatory measures have been raised under NDP 12. Number one, cashless transactions. The move towards a cashless economy is intended to complement, not replace, cash, ensuring inclusivity across all sectors of the population. Strengthening financial laws. Efforts, of course, will continue to enhance financial law enforcement with particular focus on cybersecurity and system legislation to protect the integrity of financial system yarona. Foreign direct investment, also known as FDI, managing profit repatriation while attracting FDI remains a challenge. Current laws allow investors to repatriate profits once taxes are paid, and measures are being considered to balance investor confidence with national financial stability. When we move on to digitalization, digital transformation is the lifeblood of the NDP 12. We will upgrade fixed broadband to fiber and 5G. We're going to enhance data management and analytics capacity. We're going to create 100,000 digital jobs and invest in data centers and resilience infrastructure to ensure service delivery reliability. When we move on to Yaharre Mudisa, healthcare, government is committed to strengthening our health systems. Key initiatives include establishment of the Botswana Public Health Institute, partnerships with private doctors and strategic partners to close workforce gaps, upgrading health facilities and maintaining mobile clinics, and developing a national health insurance scheme to improve access. Getting into education, Mr. Speaker, under NDP 12, our education agenda will focus on building a knowledge-driven, inclusive system categorized by technical and vocational training, education and training, also known as TVET, and skills where all brigades will expand courses and rapid skills development will enhance the construction industry trust fund. Early childhood development. There will, of course, be programs for children aged 0 to 3 years to ensure strong foundations. School and infrastructure, very critical. Maintenance and rehabilitation of existing schools will be prioritized with selective new constructions. Knowledge economy classrooms will become STEAM labs, and digital clustering will enhance learning and resource sharing. Teachers, very, very important part of ecosystem. Teachers and training. Temporary teachers will be engaged where needed with specialized training for underperforming regions. Inspectorate and in-service training will also be strengthened. Inclusive education. Learners with disabilities will be fully supported under updated policies. Mohoya equity, resources and projects will be distributed fairly across the region. Social protection. Social protection under NDP 12 must be evidence-based, must be targeted and inclusive. With data-driven policies, statistics, production, output, and means testing will guide decisions to ensure support reaches those who truly need it and prevent double dipping. When we move on to program review, existing initiatives, including Ipelecheng and the old age pension, which will be assessed to enhance effectiveness and reduce dependency. Inclusivity. Social protection will expand beyond the poorest segments to include all marginalized groups, addressing gaps for persons with disabilities and undeserved communities. Coordination, integration between the single authority, single registry, land authority, and local government will streamline support and implementation. Income generation. Guidelines for community projects will be reviewed to ensure direct benefits and sustainability. Moving on to your policy updates, social policies and food basket lists will be regularly reviewed, Mr. Speaker, and new legislation or policies may be developed to support a comprehensive social protection framework. Youth and gender mainstreaming. I know that Mem Machombo is jumping on this one, Mr. Speaker. Youth and gender equality are, of course, very central, very key, very pivotal to growth. The key interventions include a new Youth Development Act and Youth Commission, expanded youth innovation and wellness centers, introduction of gender equality and GBV laws, and mainstreaming gender and youth budgeting across each and every single ministry without exception. When we move on to sustainable environment, I beg your pardon, Mr. Speaker. Sustainable environment, government is committed to balancing development with environmental protection. NDP 12 will therefore promote phasing out single-use plastics and promoting biodegradable options. Number 2, restoring wildlife corridors and empowering communities in conservation and leveraging green climate finance for sustainable projects. Democracy, governance, peace, and security. Government remains committed to strengthening border security and combating cross-border crime, Mr. Speaker. Illegal immigration and cross-border crime. For that, the Botswana Defence Force and Botswana Police Service are working closely to secure borders, particularly in the north, with ongoing collaboration with neighboring countries. Resource and manpower challenges are being addressed progressively. Discussions with farm owners along borderlines such as Tuli and Limpopo aim to maintain access while reducing criminal activity. Legislative agenda. NDP 12 includes reforms to strengthen legal frameworks and ensure oversight institutions operate independently, supporting transparency and good governance. Police visibility. Future strategies include decentralizing police presence by establishing smaller stations across regions to enhance community safety and responsiveness. Mr. Speaker, I am aware that some members of Parliament has discomfort as some of the proposed projects are not in the public investment program. While the PIP serves as the implementation arm of the National Development Plan, not all projects can be accommodated at the present moment. It doesn't mean they won't, we will not review, but just at the present moment, we can't do everything. So, government operates within a finite, there's no master of pronunciation, but government operates within a finite fiscal envelope. Therefore, only projects that are strategic, high impact, and affordable have been prioritized during a methodology and guidelines as outlined in National Planning Act 2024. Mr. Speaker, the process of selection and prioritization is guided by a bottom-up approach. There has been a process through which districts have been consulted to identify projects, which was then submitted to the Ministry, kana di Sectoral, to inform the consolidation of the PIP. Mr. Speaker, during NDP 12, implementation will be strengthened by preparing 3-feet implementation plans, which unpack, schedule, and cost all the project milestones. This will reduce ambiguity. Government will capacitate implementing agencies for implementation, trying as much as possible to match planned projects with resources, project management, contract management, procurement, and so forth. Number of personnel, transport, systems, equipment, and using innovative ways for monitoring performance and resolving problems. District and urban planning structures, lab approach, and sectoral approach. Mr. Speaker, all is not lost. Opportunities for further review of the PIP are available through midterm review, NDP 12. This is a window that accords members of Parliament to reprioritize the programs and projects mo planning yone. Mr. Speaker, in my opening remarks for Parliament debates on NDP 12, I had indicated that the total estimate cost, TEC, for the Public Investment Program, PIP, for NDP is 388,269,000,000. I now submit the NDP 12 TECs by ministry presented in million pula as follows. The National Assembly, billions. The National Assembly, 5,886,000,000. Ministry for State President, 30,724,000,000. Ministry of Finance, 8,833,000,000. Ministry of Labor and Home Affairs, 1,091,000,000. Ministry of Lands and Agriculture, 20,850,000,000. Ministry of Child Welfare and Basic Education, 11,410,000,000 pula. Ministry of Trade and Entrepreneurship, 5,004,000,000. Ministry of Local Government and Traditional Affairs, 22,525,000,000. Ministry of Minerals and Energy, 40,111,000,000. Ministry of Health, 10,525,000,000. Administration of Justice, 672,300,000 pula. Attorney General's Department, 314,800,000 pula. Auditor General, Mr. Speaker, 42 million. Independent Electoral Commission, IEC, 1,415,000,000 pula. International Relations, 1,209,000,000 pula. The Ombudsman, 244,000,000 pula, 700,000. Ministry of Water and Human Settlements, 47 billion. 204 million. Ministry of Environment and Tourism, 3,898 million pula. Industrial Court, 266,300,000 pula. Ministry of Youth and Gender Affairs, 650 million pula, 300,000. Ministry of Transport and Infrastructure, 148 billion pula and 87 million pula. Ministry of Communications and Innovation, 10 billion 644 million pula. Ethics and Integrity Directorate, 31 million pula, 600,000. Justice and Correctional Services, 386 million pula, 100,000. Office of the Receiver, 156 million pula, 400,000. The Land Tribunal, Mr. Speaker, 143 million pula, 100,000. Higher Education, 8 billion pula, 617 million pula. Sports and Arts, 6 billion pula, 113 million pula. Botswana Prison Services, 2 billion pula and 96 million. Honourable Members of Parliament, please make note that the Ministry of Local Government and Traditional Affairs has earlier during its PIP presentation submitted a request for approval of 15 billion and 436 million pula. I'm proposing an increase to the submission by 6 billion and 89 million pula towards the Ipelechem program, stormwater drainage, maintenance of primary schools and primary health facilities for the ministry's TEC to become 21 billion pula, 525 million as indicated above. The Ministry of Child...
Clarification. Ke utlwa o bua ka dikoketso tseo tse le go di dirang. Ne ke reng ko di boelele o ka re ga ke a di tshwara sentle bogolo jang o zero in mo go ya primary health care. Primary health care. Yeah.
Honourable members,
Yes, I got that. Honourable, yes, gladly. Let me go over that again. I will try to be slow. Ma?
nya ne ke bona le hana hela ko na ke se mote ya no mme let's nna. My expectation was that the minister will present this uninterrupted. That's my expectation, that for all the chapters, we have had the opportunity to ask questions from the ministers as they were presented. So, mohoreng oka etale thalosetsa. Kera ka ke morning kate. Honourable Minister.
Era nyame gora gore ke ska bala ka spiti. As requested. Honourable Members of Parliament, please note that the Ministry of Local Government and Traditional Affairs has earlier during its PIP presentation submitted a request for approval of 15 billion 436 million pula. I am proposing an increase to the submission by 6 billion and 89 million and 45 million pula from 10 billion 665 million pula to 11 billion 410 million towards the secondary school programs. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude my remarks, I would like to thank honourable members for their fruitful deliberations during the past days of debates. Their guidance has depicted a true democratic governance which the government is committed to uphold. These insights have of course helped in shaping our collective vision to best serve this nation. Mr. Speaker, let me also acknowledge the strategic guidance from the National Planning Commission Advisory Council that is chaired by our Vice President, His Honor, Renda Bagaolate, for their continued support and guidance during this process. I further extend my sincere gratitude to our development partners, international institutions, the business community, le Botswana hela ka kakaretso, for their continued support and their proactive role in economic development. With those few words spoken, Mr. Speaker, I propose that the draft National Development Plan NDP 12 for the period of 2025-2026 to 2029-2030 be adopted with its related documents, that is the indicator framework, the PIP with a TEC of 388 billion pula, 269 million. I also move that the draft National Development Plan NDP 12 together with the amendments and contributions of Parliament be approved. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank you, honourable members. God